And at some point in time, you had an encounter with Diddy and Cassie, and that was back in 2012, I believe.
Yeah, around September, early October 2012 was the first encounter.
And can you tell us what happened, to how you were contacted, and what were the the events that occurred after you were contacted?
Yeah, so I'm a male dancer at the time, and how I get leads and parties is I would advertise on Google. So in the New York area, if you would put in a Google search, male stripper or whatever, I had a website that came up. So I don't think they were personally looking for me. I just my website ended up, and they made a call to hire a guy for what was supposed to be Miss Ventura's birthday party. But at the time, she didn't say who she was. She introduced herself as a woman named Janet. She said that she was married, and her husband said she could have a dancer. So I'm expecting a gathering of women to celebrate this. And we kind of, the typical thing is I quoted a price is $200 for a dancer. She gives me a location and a time, and I show up to do a little show.
Hmm. And that was when you met. Was Cassie that reached out to you?
It was yes, it was Cassie that reached out to me.
Okay. And then after that, and I want to make this clear. I have nothing against Diddy whatsoever. I don't know him. I only know what I'm hearing and what people have told me. But, in my position always is innocent until proven guilty. So I'm not here to lay anything heavy on Diddy or anything else. I'm just having a conversation with somebody that's in the know about certain things. And then, you kind of notice some things with Cassie. This kind of evolved into something more than just a one-time deal with you, correct?
Yeah, I mean, in total, and I don't even have an exact amount. I estimated 8 to 12 times, and it was over a period of 2.5 years. So honestly, it could have been more. It's 12, 13 years ago. I don't have a clear indication of how many times or whatever, but I estimate 8 to 12 times.
And you got involved in these, were you given any specific instructions? Because I know you got involved in these freak-offs, correct?
Yeah, so my specific involvement was always the same. And so my very first encounter, when I showed up for what I thought was a party, Miss Ventura greeted me at the door in a robe, which you can tell she was nude. So the minute she opened the door, it was an obvious scenario that this was going to be different than a party. And so when we went into the room, obviously there were no guests. It was just me and her at the time. And, we got to kind of like the living room area of the suite, and I still, tried to go the route as if it was a party. So I asked her, hey, where do you want me to change? And she immediately explained to me, look, I don't want you to dance. Me and my husband, we like to create a scene where we want you to change into underwear or a towel. And she pointed into the living room area, which was dimly lit, kind of a sexual ambiance, and all the furniture was covered with sheets. And she said, look, you're going to sit here. I'm going to be here. It was 2 couches adjacent from each other. And we're going to put baby oil on our body and create a scene environment. And at some point, my husband's going to come out to watch. And then she specifically told me, when her husband comes out, I'm not supposed to look at him. I'm not supposed to acknowledge him. I'm not supposed to speak to him. I'm supposed to do my best to act like he's not even there. And she handed me a handful of money. I counted it when I got into the bathroom, and at that time it was $800. So I originally quoted $200. So now I got this beautiful woman in front of me. She hands me 4 times the amount.
Studio Alice OB Media. The Punisher goes crazy, and he detailed his freak-off encounter with Cassie and Diddy. Man, this is crazy. Diddy is more than diabolical. This ninja is a cockhole. He's paying guys to bang his chick while he's sitting and masturbate, and then he rubbed the cum on his nipples. So I don't understand how all of these gigolos and all of these escorts are so comfortable with the next man in the room jacking off, because I can't be in that room with Diddy. That was just some weird shit. These ninjas are on some queer timing. You need to watch a full video, man. This is very interesting. Let's get it.
And it's like, well, hey, I'm going to try to make this work because, it seemed like a nice payday and simple at the time,
Was that the first time you met Diddy? Where you saw Diddy?
Well, so here's the thing. I didn't actually see him, right? He when he did come into the room, and that was, I came out the bathroom with the towel and we started making this scene. And at some point from my peripheral, I could see him walk in the room, but he situated himself all the way across the room, kind of behind a table. It's like a table and chair setup. And he ended up being there. But the odd thing about it was he came in the room pretty much nude, but he had his face covered with, I believe it's called a hijab or a burqa. And this is what the Muslims women wear, where they completely cover their face. You can only see the eyes. So I really had no idea who he was. And initially coming in, I didn't recognize Cassie. She had on a wig, so the distinguishing stuff that would point her out there, her hairstyle, because she has like, at the time she had like a shaved hairstyle, it wasn't able to be recognized. And I really had no idea who they were to much further into the encounters.
So at this point, I mean, it's a sexual encounter, but there was nothing criminal or illegal done at that point during the whole session, I would say.
Yeah, nothing criminal and illegal about the session itself. I mean, the only, I guess, illegal scenario would be is the prostitution itself, because it was money in exchange. But this specific situation we're talking about, there wasn't even any sex.
Right.
My very first encounter, I was told it was creating a sexy scene. We created it with just kind of rubbing oil on each other, and she would do gestures, I would do the same, but there was no actual sexual activity between us. And then at some point, who I'm thinking is her husband, Mr. Combs, got up, he left the room, she followed him out, came back and told me, hey, that was great, it was perfect, thank you, handed me an additional $1,200 and said, hey, look, I'm comfortable with you. When we come back to town, is it okay if I call you again? And I'm like, absolutely, sure. And she did at that time offer me the option to finish. She said, hey, do you want to finish? Which, I understand to be, did I want to orgasm? And I actually declined. I wasn't comfortable with the situation. And I'm trying to be professional, right? Because I believe what the circumstances are. So I said, hey, look, this is not about me. This is for you and your husband. If you're good, I'm good. And I declined finishing, partially in transparency, because the uncomfortability of the situation, I probably would have had an issue getting an erection and finishing anyway. So I declined, and she said fine. And from there, I headed home.
And was that the only encounter you had with her, or were there more?
No, that was just the first. Like I said, it went to 8 to 12. So the next encounter, it was pretty much the same, but there was conversations prior to the sexual activity about my sexual health, her sexual health, and the desire to actually do more than just a rub down. So that's when the sexual encounter started.
And let me ask you, Sheree, this was considered a freak off, right? Even though there was only just the two of you and Diddy present? Because my impression was that there were always a lot of people present at these freak offs.
Yeah, I think there's a misconception that, Mr. Combs he's known for throwing these elaborate parties that you can go to a place of the party, and I guess there's sexual activity. And then there's these kind of scenarios with Miss Ventura where it's just him, her, and a male, and another male creating a sexual environment, and that's being described the same way. So it just appears that anything that he does with a sexual nature, even on a smaller scale, all these huge parties, they're all going under the same umbrella as freak off, which I don't know if that's accurate, but that's what everything is being described at. I know when I see myself reported in the media, it says I was a part of a freak off. So this is considered that.
Got it. During any of this time, did you ever see any indication that Cassie might have been in an abusive situation with Diddy?
Not at all. Not at all. I always felt it was consented. I always felt everything was, I always felt she was in her right frame of mind. She didn't appear to be under the influence of any drugs or anything like that. And I never seen any interaction between them that seemed something that was distressful for her. The only thing that I did say in my testimony was that I saw moments of what I would consider frustration and her reaction, but that was based on directions. Like during our encounters, he would give directions, which was mainly about, is candle lit? Could, move the candle a little bit more, move whatever. Can you move to the left, move him to the right? You know what I'm saying? Like these things. And sometimes they were repetitive and very specific. So I would see maybe like you know what I'm saying? Like that type of stuff, but nothing that would resemble her being in distress.
Do you know if were these being filmed at all, or they were just encounters for his pleasure only?
So I don't know. It was always in a dark room, and it could have very well been a camera or something set up, but nothing that I knew was present or that I consented to. I had no idea.
Yeah, the reason I ask you that, because I think part of the allegations against Diddy is that he would have these films so that he can have a blackmail situation. And again, these are the allegations, not coming from me, that he would be able to blackmail if anybody were to turn on him. But you didn't get any indication of that.
No. I could have very well been filmed, but I have no idea.
Let me ask you, on cross-examination, how did the defense try to portray you? Did they try to beat you up at all? Did they try to discredit you?
No, that was surprising to me because it was actually the opposite. They actually took a route of creating more credibility. So I guess once they heard my initial testimony, and I'm saying I didn't see any aggression, it seemed consented. The attorney, I think his name was Xavier Donaldson, he went the route of bringing up the fact that I've been a male entertainer for 25 years. Mm-hmm. And it's accurate. When you walk into a room as a male entertainer and it's a room full of women you never met, you have to quickly assess the room because you're trying to entertain them in a sexual nature. So I have to read the room to make sure whoever I'm going to is comfortable with the activity. So he kind of harped on that. Look, you've been doing this 25 years. Would you ever go to dance on a woman or engage with a woman who was uncomfortable with you interacting with her? And the answer is absolutely not. I have to be able to read the room, get to a woman's comfort level and assess that. So then he kind of shifted that narrative to the situation with Miss Ventura. Well, look, based on your knowledge, your expertise of doing this all these years, if you were to notice her being uncomfortable or in a place out of her mind or not in a proper state, would you have proceeded? And the answer is absolutely not. So I was expecting kind of a tough, because all of my, they do the mock courses.
Right. So,
and their expectation was to discredit and stuff like that. But he actually went a completely different lane and provided more credibility.
Well, that makes sense to me because I think their major defense here in all of this is that all of this was consensual. Nobody was abused. Nobody was forced into this. Nobody was, physically abused, but this was all consensual relationships and sex. So it would make sense that they would treat you that way. That's why I asked that question. Did Cassie ever, say to you that she was, obviously we saw the video of what happened in the hotel, so we know that there was that one incident. But did Cassie ever express to you that Diddy was abusive to her in any way?
No, I mean, we actually, other than very, very cordial initial conversation, when I would arrive, hey, how's work, how's things or whatever, we didn't get into a lot of personable conversation. It was kind of like stuff. So in terms of her confiding in me of anything that could have been going on, it wasn't. I mean, most of the conversation was, again, just checking in on what's going on with me and surfacing. One time I had like a scar on my arm. She mentioned, hey, I got some scar cream, gave it to me, try that. And she more or less just thanked me for keeping their identity and what they do private, in terms of, obviously this has been going on for years and they didn't get any feedback or indication that I'm talking about it publicly and putting their business out. So no, absolutely not. I had no indication.
And when this ended with you, did it just you just weren't called anymore? Did it end on a good note, or they just didn't need your services anymore? How did it end?
So I never had a full reason why it ended, but my assumption was it had went a long period of time where I had not been called. Let's say maybe about 6 months, and during that period of time, I had an injury. I tore my bicep. So, and anybody knows about that injury. It's a rough injury. You can't work out. You can't do anything. It's a long healing process. So after going through that healing process and getting called, me, myself, I know the physical condition I'm usually in is not the same. And also with that long period of time, we're in kind of like a sexual scenario. And one of the directions was very specific. We were doing kind of like preliminary stuff. And one of the instructions was he wanted to see penetration. So he kind of walked over in the middle of us doing a massage thing. And he actually threw up like a wad of condoms on the couch. And he basically says, I want you to, and honestly, the time in between was never really a comfortable scenario for me anyway. I couldn't perform. So I always assumed the fact that I could not perform that time, and I'm showing up months later, not in great physical shape and stuff like that. I kind of felt like, well, this is a fail. I did not make the fantasy that I was hired for. So I assumed that could be a reason why I wouldn't be called back. So that's my assumption. But that's kind of how the last situation went. And that was the last time I was called.
And you never spoke to Cassie again after that?
No communication.
That was it. Nor did he.
No, so here's the thing. I never had communication with Diddy the entire time. No, ironically, I never spoke to him. I never had even direct eye contact with him. The first time after all these instances that I had direct eye contact with him was leaving the courtroom after I testified.
Wow. And I think it's fair to say, Sheree, that you have no interest in which way this turns out. If he's guilty, he's guilty. If he's innocent, he's innocent. You have no horse in this race, so to speak, correct?
I don't, man. Actually, that is something that I really wanted to portray as solid as possible with my testimony. I am compelled to be here and I have to give the facts of what I was involved in and what I saw. But I didn't want to have any bias or anything associated with my testimony that seemed like I was in favor of either party. They got 12 jurors there. That's their job to decide.
I think that's really commendable. Having been to trial 5 times myself, the best witnesses are those that have no interest in the outcome. You're up there to tell the truth, and that's it. Whatever way it works out, it works out. So that's commendable, and I have to say that. And again, I'm a veteran of those situations. Let me ask you, you wrote a book, In Search of Freezer Meat is the title, right?
Yeah.
Explain that title to me.
So at some point, as men age, right, I started experiencing erectile dysfunction, right? And luckily for me, it was nothing physical. It was all mental. I just got in my head, created anxiety. And one point during the struggles where I'm dependent on pills and stuff, I took a trip to the Caribbean. I'm out there with this beautiful girl. We're on this beautiful beach. It's like a paradise environment. And we get in the water and we start messing around. And it was unexpected, right? So for whatever reason, I'm calm and I'm out in the Caribbean and she reaches down and I am still, right? And which is not my norm. And for some reason, when this woman got a hold, she said, man, this thing is hard freezing me. And man, listen, it was like a euphoric moment, man. It was like, oh, because I was living in a place of low confidence and not feeling my masculinity the way I needed to because I'm struggling with this issue. So her giving me this compliment was like this moment on top of the mountain. So after that moment, I was always searching to get back to freezing me. So I kind of played off of it with the title of the book because, I actually said this on the stand, but what's harder than freezing me, right? if you're gonna go there, what's harder than that? So I kind of ran with that name, took that story. It's some marketing stuff to it because you hear freezer meat. That's not really a title you're going to forget. And it's just really a self-help book where I'm trying to help men who are going through mental issues to try to be proactive. Because some guys you just give up. You know, when you can't find a remedy, you give up. Then you feel emasculated. It affects other parts of your life.
Man, this interview is interesting, man. The Punisher said that Cassie was not coerced. She was not forced to do all of these freak-off. She wanted to be there. Man, Diddy was so diabolical. This ninja was butt naked in a burqa. This ninja on some different timing and be directing the freak-off like it's a movie. And the Punisher said that he did to 8 to 12 freak off with Diddy and Cassie. So he was making some good money off Cassie and Diddy. So a lot of these gigolos are saying that they did not do no gay activities with Diddy. But that cuckold situation, that shit gay to me. Because no way I'm gonna be in a room with a ninja butt naked jerking off and I'm in the room having sex with this girl and smashing the shit out of her. So that was just some wild shit for me. So a lot of people are saying that Cassie wasn't a victim because she was enjoying all of the freak off. She was picking the guys that she wanted to have sex with. So Diddy did not force her to do shit. But that still don't give Diddy the right to abuse her and beat the shit out of her in that hotel lobby. That was some real sucker shit. So everyone is saying basically Diddy is in jail because he's freaky. I don't think that is the main problem. Diddy is in jail because he pissed off the wrong set of people. He thought that he was untouchable. So all of the bullshit that he been doing, brother love, show some love, this ninja was really out of control. So all of these swingers and all of these gigolos were living their best life when they were doing freak off with Diddy and Cassie. They were getting big bucks just to do that shit. But they're saying that Diddy used to take the semen and rub it on his nipples. What type of diabolical shit is that? And the Punisher said that he thought that Diddy was swallowing it. Man, Diddy was swallowing kids? Man, that would have been crazy. That ninja disgusting. And he be directing and telling the guys what to do. You're doing it, daddy. Do it to her. So this ninja was really a diabolical ninja for so long. But this is Hollywood. This is what they do. They take coke, they take drugs, they get freaky. So a lot of people were saying that Diddy and Cassie was in a toxic relationship. They know what they were doing. Both of these ninjas are just nasty. They're just nasty people. But Diddy like to put his hands on females because he got a micro penis. He is so insecure of his size. So understand why Diddy has to do this shit. He will do anything to please his woman. He would get guys with BBC and watch them work. So this ninja was a different type of stupid. He was really out of control with the wild shit. So I don't know what type of inspiration would have get Diddy to do all of this shit. And then you're gonna say that you named Frank Black, Cassie's name was Janet, and both of these people were wearing wigs, wearing masks. Man, Diddy know what he was doing. He was trying to protect his identity, but everyone know who the diddler is. He was on a slippery slope, sliding down to jail. But it is what it is, man. This shit was interesting. It's OB Media. Have a blessed day.
I just know Tyler Perry is somewhere writing his next movie using Diddy's life as a storyline, because the plot just keeps on thickening. So you've probably seen the headlines that the former escort Clayton Howard is suing Cassie Ventura, but here's the thing, he's not only suing Cassie Ventura. He's suing Cassie and Diddy, Bad Boy Records, Epic Records, Comb Enterprise, and Beverly Hills Hotel. Now, the reason Cassie is currently in the headlines about this lawsuit is because the escort had been trying to serve her at her different residences in New York and Connecticut and was not successful. And the judge gave him the ability to do an alternate serving because he was not able to reach her. And Cassie and her lawyers have finally responded after the judge granted the alternate serving. And in case you were wondering, he is the one in the Diddy documentary on Netflix, The Reckoning, who alleges that they used to save his stuff and that they would call him every year on the anniversary of the Notorious B.I.G.'s death. Now, he's suing them because he alleges that he was coerced into being on that stuff and coerced into having unprotected, yeah. He also alleges that Cassie Ventura had him burning and that she was pregnant with his baby and decided to terminate the pregnancy without talking to him first, which I didn't really know was a crime or illegal or that you can sue anyone for that. Like, I don't know. And lastly, he alleges that he suffered from psychological and physical abuse and harm. Who knows what that means? Now, from what different sources are saying online, he's allegedly suing for somewhere between $35 to $20 million. Damn. So I guess he finna see them in court.